Hey, what's going on, everyone?
What's going on? What's up?
Welcome back to another episode of Clear the Haze.
It's been a moment.
It's been a little bit.
we had a second there of like a hiatus where we were just busy.
Yeah, but you know, it's good to be busy.
It is.
And with us today
is David Blue Garcia. Welcome.
What's up, David?
How are you today?
That's me. Thanks for having me.
David directed and produced the movie Tejano, which just had its world premiere at Dallas International Film Festival, correct?
Yes.
True.
And what is first of all, how do you feel knowing like the film has already you've done the work, like the film's done, you went to your first film festival. How does that all feel now? It's over.
It was like
at this point.
the biggest weight off my shoulders I've ever felt. I'd been carrying the movie on my shoulders for like 5 years since we came up with the idea, since we first wrote the script, since we shot it in 2015, and as soon as like we knew we were in a film festival and we were playing it in front of an actual audience of strangers, I was just so relieved. It was great.
Wow. And was it a good reaction? Did you feel like at the end of the first screening you were just like people were like, oh my god, that was...
Well, we actually ended up getting the audience award for the narrative feature really competition at the festival. So we actually had 2 really great screenings with packed houses.
Wow.
Just completely full.
Yeah, that's a good
the
sign.
Audience, you could just hear them. Like I was watching the movie, but I've seen it 150 times. So I wasn't really watching the movie. I was like listening for how the audience is reacting to each moment, and it was really good.
And were there moments where you maybe thought there was like a serious moment or a joke and you were like, oh, they reacted differently than what I expected? Or do you find yourself dissecting the work now that you're over and it's done?
It was interesting because so the movie is a thriller and it is very serious, but I kind of have a dark sense of humor, and so does my writer, the screenwriter, Kyle Bogart. So there's definitely a lot of humor in the movie, and sometimes I forget how much humor there is, and a lot of the audience kind of picked up on that.
Interesting.
And there's also a lot of like, so the movie is mostly in Spanish.
Oh,
wow.
And so there's a lot of like little jokes you get if you speak Spanish, but it's not necessarily in the subtitles, the English subtitles. So only English-speaking audiences won't get all the jokes, but a lot of the Spanish speakers in the screenings were kind of laughing at stuff that I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that's funny.
Yeah, there's a movie that came out a while ago that did a really good job of that. And I think that if you're targeting a movie based on like a story that talks about Hispanic culture, you should have some Spanish in there. Because if you make a film or a project that has no Spanish, you're not hitting the market right. You know, you're not that audience is expecting you to delve into their culture and say, hey, we're gonna speak your language. We're gonna make things relatable to your life and your experiences. But if you don't use their language, it's almost to them. It's like, well, are you even really covering who we are?
Yeah, you're not representing.
Yeah, that's the word.
Your target, your demographic.
Exactly. But that's so
awesome.
That's so cool. What's your background? Like, where were you born and stuff?
Tell us all a little bit about you yourself.
Well, yeah, actually, I'm from South Texas on the Texas-Mexico border.
Nice.
And from a town called Harlingen, which is right on the south tip of Texas near Brownsville. And yeah, I was born and raised there.
Yeah.
Shout out Harlingen.
Yeah, Harlingen. Shout out. You guys should be getting so excited. It's like people are doing stuff.
Yeah.
It goes to show you can come from anywhere in the world. And
Harlingen to LA, we're making it happen.
Yeah,
exactly.
Love it.
And that's actually where we made the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I was gonna ask.
We made it in South Texas. The area is called the Rio Grande Valley.
Yeah.
It's not a valley at all. There's no mountains there. It's just a name that they call it. It's just really flat. There's a lot of farmland. But yeah, we made the movie down there, and the movie Tejano, it's about a young farmhand in South Texas named Javi, who's so desperate for cash that he breaks his own arm and wears a cast made of cocaine and smuggles it back across the border from Mexico.
What?
So it's interesting that
wow, yeah, shout out to me right now.
Is that what you did?
Cast.
You're wearing a cast.
Well, you know,
came from Canada.
Short story, it's actually heroin. No, but that's crazy. Because honestly, when they were making this plaster cast, it looked exactly like the process to making cocaine.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Just like smoothing it all out and then watching it harden, and now it's like flaking away, ready to go.
That's
go party.
That I remember we watched this documentary about like the process of like everything they do to make cocaine.
Yeah,
and it's crazy because there was another, like, a journalist who was there and was speaking to somebody, and they were saying that some of these companies will add like concrete just to make it more like, and I was just like, concrete? I'm like, yo, be careful, people. It's just like, don't be doing nothing you don't know.
There's a lot of filler out there.
There is. It's and that's so interesting that, I mean, that sounds like a super
but Javi
story.
is getting it straight from the source.
Yeah,
so it's very pure, I'm sure.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How like what came about that idea? Was there something that like you, or was that just kind of like a random thought? You were like, oh man, let's make that happen.
Yeah.
Well, I was looking for an idea to make a film about, and I just read an article in a paper about a man from Chile in South America who was arrested in Spain. He'd flown in, and he was wearing a leg cast made of cocaine.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
But the detail about the story that was interesting to me was that his leg was broken.
Whoa.
So I'm like, okay, did he break his leg
Or
on
did someone
purpose,
break
or
his
what?
leg?
What's the story? Why is his leg broken? Because it doesn't need to be.
Right.
If you're smuggling drugs, it could
No.
you could just have a fully functioning limb under that cast. But anyway, so that was.
I was just thinking that. I was like, why did you have to break his leg?
Exactly.
Whoever was trying it was like, we need to make this believable.
Right.
It's just like, as soon as those people touch that cast, they're gonna say that's cocaine. That's not a cast.
Yeah.
It's funny.
So yeah, that was just the idea behind it, and I took that kernel of an idea and a couple of other ideas to my screenwriter, and let him run with it.
Oh,
Wow.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Did you guys check in on each other, like, as far as story goes? Was he just telling you, like,
Yeah,
hey,
what
this
was
is what I
the
have so far?
development like?
Yeah,
What
we
is it?
kind of sat down, and we had, like maybe a 12-pack of Mexican beer,
Yeah.
Nice.
and just kind of
Tecate?
Tecate
Yeah.
or Modelo, and
Oh,
just
yeah.
we would just sat down and kind of riff, kind of like we're doing now.
Yeah.
Just like sit down in a living room and just
Yeah.
kind of talk about, South Texas, talk
Wow.
about drug smuggling, talk about all these ideas we had, and then he would kind of go off, and a couple months later he'd come back with a rough draft or script.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Nice, yeah.
That's a really good writer. That's a really good skill. I'm a
Yeah.
writer as well, so I know exactly what that's like.
Yeah.
To where someone tells you something and you can just your mind just starts to run with the
Mhm.
idea. And when people say that, you act like really think about it, because I've done so much research for projects, and I've gotten so like heavily, I almost fall in love with them, and it's almost like you want to work on it as long as you can, and then you let it go, and it's almost like on to the next one, and
Right.
it's crazy to think about, but it's a process.
Something we both kind of found out about that process, and something we learned to like, was that, he kind of talks about sometimes how if you sit down with just your computer open,
Yeah.
and you're just looking at that blank page, it's really hard to come up with stuff
Right.
if you just do that alone. But when you sit down and you talk,
Yeah.
and you're actually verbalizing your ideas, you can actually come up with a lot more, much more quickly.
Yeah.
And so it was those kind of writing sessions that we would have, drinking a little, that would help out a lot. So
Change the mindset a
Yeah,
bit to
yeah.
get you creative.
so sometimes as a writer, it's a very solitary process, but you just got to go and talk to somebody sometimes too.
That's really
It'll
cool.
give you some ideas.
Yeah. It's really interesting that you say that, because I feel I 100% agree with what you're saying. I think the best way to get the most out of your ideas and to truly develop them is just to live. Just live life a little bit,
Mhm.
and eventually you're going to run into something, or you're going to do something, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, that just made me think of something where I can make this better, or it made me think of a new way of looking at something,
Right.
and I feel like I could write it. I can
Or
write
the
that,
actual situation itself.
Or the actual situation
is the
itself.
scene.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
you're just roaming around, and next thing you know, boom, there's your screenplay.
Exactly. I mean, you can't write something from scratch.
Yeah.
Like you're not writing from an isolated bubble. You have to talk to people. You have to
Right.
bring things in from your life or from what you read.
Yeah.
So we're influenced by everything.
I feel like every piece of work that you write, in some way you put a little bit of yourself,
Mhm.
even if it's just like, oh well, I felt something similar to that, maybe I can incorporate that into the story, or there was a scenario where I felt like this could fit in. You're always looking and dissecting your own life whenever you're writing and implementing that, because you've experienced it, so you know it well. And I think that's very fascinating. But I wanted to ask you, so it took you 5 years to make the whole film, correct? You said from process of like
Yeah.
to now. Yeah.
From first, like, kind of, writing the screenplay, getting that finished. I actually came up with the idea before 2013, but we'll not count that.
It's once it starts getting written that you're
Yeah.
like, this is when it gets going. But throughout that process, did you ever feel like, were you ever like, is this why am I pursuing this? I feel like it's taking so long. Or did you feel any doubts, or were you just all the time? I feel like those are just common experiences. I don't know if you. I'm just curious.
Oh no, you're hitting it. I mean, that is a very common experience. So I think it's just kind of crazy that I always wanted to make a film since I was 13 years old.
Wow.
And so I'm 32 now. And so
you look 32. You look super young.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
If you look closely, I do have a couple of white gray hairs up here. Probably be attributed to this film. But so I'm basically my whole adult life I've been following the dreams of a pubescent kid. Nice. Trying to achieve that one dream. And it's kind of a crazy thing. So and now I've achieved it. And it feels inspiring, and it feels great.
Yeah.
But it is long, and it's a dubious process because you're wondering, why am I doing this? What good is it doing me? Is it even going to be successful? Is anyone going to even see it or like it? But you just have to keep going.
Yeah.
You can't give up halfway through,
never,
or else you'll never know.
Never give up.
No, because
you'll never know,
and you'll never know. And I think that's the key to the whole thing. It's if you never even. If you never even try to get your idea off the ground, you're never going to know whether it'll succeed or fail. What if that idea is the $1 billion idea that they talk about, but you don't develop it? So that's just $1 billion that is
exactly. And a lot of people get discouraged and give up prior to completing that idea or that goal, and that's unfortunate because if you just had taken one extra step, one extra day, one extra hour, you possibly could have actually reached that goal. But the fact that you gave up on it means you never really believed in it to begin with, and how can anyone believe in you when you don't believe in yourself?
I have a buddy of mine who does coding, and he told me that sometimes they'll be given like a task, and they'll say, hey, he works for this company, and they'll say, hey, this is what we want to do, and they have to code until they figure out how, like, oh, it fixed it, great, now on to the next one. But you're coding until you figure out how to fix that problem. It's not just like this is what you're supposed to do. I mean, once you've done it for so long, you already know. But
like a white hat.
Exactly. Yeah. But when it's a new situation, you're almost like, oh snap, how do we tackle this? It's like let's brainstorm. And I think I was just at this conference the last 3 days, Digital Hollywood, and everything they were talking about there was pertaining to like content and just creativity. And the key to everything that they were saying was, just do it. Like Nike had it right when they came up with that logo. Like, just make it happen. And if you don't think you can make it happen, there's a living proof right here. It took him 5 years, but he made it happen.
Right.
And it's just crazy. I think that those types of situations are so inspiring. You're very inspirational just because you did it. And I feel like a lot of people are going to see that and say, yeah, I haven't made a film. It's like, and that guy had an idea, and people like it. People like what you did. People are reacting to what you did. And I feel like at the end of the day, that's what you want out of your film. You want people to react from it and think and say, oh, that actually made me think differently.
Right. You were moved.
That's the key. I think if it invokes emotion in some way, it's gonna grip. Do you feel like like you said, it's a thriller, but it's got like comedic elements? What's I guess,
well, there's levity. Like I feel like the thrilling and the suspenseful moments are more powerful when there's levity and there's a lighter moment before. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because then it'll contrast.
There's a contrast. If tonally the film is like too dark all the time, it can be good, but maybe it's less effective sometimes. There's examples of films that do that well, but
there's The Bad Samaritan just came out with the guy from Doctor Who. I don't remember his name, but he was one of the doctors on Doctor Who. But the movie is about he's like a psychopath who has like someone in his office, and he's like got him chained up, and he's like basically like slowly gonna kill this person, which is crazy. But that going into the movie. But the first like 45 minutes is all very like light and peachy, and everything's great. And then there's a moment in the film, I won't spoil it, you guys should watch it, but there's a moment that it just like the tone completely changes, and even the music never goes back to that peachy feeling. But it does such a good way of making you forget why you came to watch this movie. And then by the time it gets to that point, you're like, oh my gosh, like I did not think this was gonna happen, and it just shocks you. And that effect is something that I remember. And that's why I think the movie was so great, because it did a good job of shocking me, And by the way you describe it and the way it sounds interesting, and I'm excited to see it. Do you know when it'll be available, like in a bigger sense, or what are your plans as far as that's concerned?
Well, I don't know when we're going to be able to bring it out to the digital landscape yet. We are I'm actually in Los Angeles right now so that I can meet with distributors and talk about, how we're going to bring it to the world. Yeah. So
would you want to go streaming, or would you want to go like theater? What would you be your presence?
I would like to go theater first and do a small theatrical run just to say we did it.
Exactly.
And have that experience.
Exactly.
I think I can definitely play it in theaters in South Texas, where I'm from. I think people will come out and support it.
I think even in this market,
it
relates.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so we should definitely get it in some theaters, and then after that, looking at streaming and television and all that. So
absolutely, and I see you have a pretty awesome cast here. How did you come across? How'd you come across your cast? Like, you just did your traditional casting call, or you had some people already in mind? Or
I just kind of asked around, and I asked other filmmakers, directors, producers.
Yeah.
I kind of looked at their work. Sometimes if I saw somebody in a film that I liked, I would just kind of reach out,
Nice.
And that's how I came across a lot of these actors.
Is that how you found Patrick Mackey, who plays Javi?
Yeah, Patrick Mackey, actually, I don't think he remembers this, but I also direct commercials in Austin, and I think he auditioned for me once for was a Sunny D commercial.
Oh, nice.
The juice drink.
Yeah.
So it was actually a pretty silly commercial, and he was in the audition, and I remember thinking like, oh, this guy's got an interesting kind of vibe, like kind of look to him.
Yeah, yeah.
And unfortunately, he didn't get the Sunny D spot, but I kind of remembered him, and then another friend of mine said like, "Oh, do you know he's from South Texas? He's from the Rio Grande Valley." And I was like, "Oh, that's interesting," because that's where the movie takes place.
Yeah. It's like, that area, so you would kind of be the perfect character.
Yeah,
for it. That's very interesting.
And I had coffee with him and found out he was fluent in Spanish.
Nice.
And even though he's Patrick's a white guy.
Yeah, I was looking at his picture. I was like, "What? You said the film was majority Spanish, but this guy looks like he's from the valley out here."
Yeah. He's. I mean,
Sherman Oaks.
He is a Weddle, but he's a white guy. But he's fluent in Spanish because he grew up down there.
Nice.
And also it kind of makes so in the film, Javi's grandfather Arturo, played by Hector Uribe, is he's Mexican. But it kind of shows like what genetics can do. I mean, you can have a Mexican grandfather, but you can be white because you might, your mom might have been white.
It only takes a generation to change things.
It really does. Like,
and that's how I am. So my grandparents on my father's side were from Mexico.
Oh, wow. And
my dad is dark skinned, but my mother's white. So I kind of have this kind of mixed look.
Yeah.
We make it work. Make it work. I think I'm the same way. My dad was very European, Italian. And my mom was from Peru. Okay. And so I was born in Peru, but I get the same thing. I'm just like, and I understand kind of both spectrums, and I never know how to like label myself in all the forms. They're like, are you Hispanic? Are you European and white? And I'm just like, I guess I'm both. And they're like, but you can only choose one. And I'm like, I don't know then. I don't know what to put in.
Just gotta circle everything.
You gotta just circle all of the above. We're all one human.
I know how you guys feel. My dad is black and my mom is also black. So.
I can totally relate to that situation.
It's a very ambiguous room right now.
Yeah, but that's really interesting. Did you feel like when you were finding locations and stuff in that South Texas area, did you find anything really where you were like, oh my god, like were you just always scouting, I guess, throughout the time? Because I feel like you would, right?
So I lived there like for 17 years, and so I'm just like the whole time I lived there and the whole time I wanted to make movies growing up, I was like, oh, this would be a cool location for a movie.
Yeah.
And when I was 17 years old, I went to McAllen, and if you go to McAllen and then you drive south towards the Mexican border, there's this highway, and along the highway there's a bunch of warehouses, really huge warehouses, and they call them ropa usadas, used clothes. And in these warehouses are mountains, piles of clothes, 12 feet tall.
Yeah.
like that people will walk up these like mountains, these hills of clothes with big plastic bags, and they'll just go looking for vintage shirts, jackets, anything, and they just fill the bags with these clothes and they buy it by the pound.
Wow.
So you can get like a bag full of clothes for like a couple bucks.
Wow.
And
that's crazy.
In those clothes you might have a vintage shirt that you could sell for $50. Yeah, a couple hundred even. So it's a very strange place. And
sounds like it.
When I was
mountains of clothes.
Yeah, mountains of clothes. Like you really have to see it, and we filmed it in the movie.
Really?
So I came up with this whole chase scene when I was 17 years old, about a guy running in, and he's being chased by another guy, and he hides in the clothes, like he burrows in.
Oh wow!
And then the other guy is like looking for him, but he can't find him because there's so many clothes.
Yeah.
And then there's a forklift that kind of roams around the factory, and it goes and it spikes the clothes and it flips it so that the clothes don't get rotten. You know what I mean? To try to keep the ones from the bottom onto the top.
Yeah, because if they stay in the middle of all that clothes, they're gonna start smelling.
Exactly. So the suspense comes because my main character Javi is hiding in the clothes, but the forklift spikes keep getting closer. And it doesn't know he's in there. And then the other guy is like hunting him.
I like this.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
So
that sounds super interesting.
That's one of my favorite scenes in the movie, and it was a location that it didn't exist anywhere else.
I was gonna say.
It sounds like a very specific thing to that region.
Yeah, I told my producer, I was like, we have to get this location. You need to get it.
Yeah. And were they receptive? Like all your locations, were they like, yeah, please, like give us some shine, or were they like, nah, let's just mind our own business?
It depends on the location. I think this particular location, the Ropa Usada, they were a little timid at first because we told them like, this is a movie about drug smuggling, and they didn't want to be associated with this kind of negative thing.
Right.
I went in there and I explained like, listen, this is just a place where my main character is hiding. You guys are not a front for drug smuggling or anything like that.
Right.
It's just a neutral location.
Just a location.
Yeah.
So you just went in and clarified.
And they were nice enough to be like, okay, we get it. This is kind of cool.
Interesting.
That is cool, yeah. And I mean, it does, even if that's not exactly what they're looking for, it shines a light on a cool area where now people are aware it's there.
Yeah.
Especially after they watch this movie, they're gonna probably go there first and just to see this huge mound of clothes. Like
I would too.
I might book a ticket after.
Book a ticket to Texas. Go visit the fam for a second, and then go drive. That's really interesting. Do you I just can't stop thinking about it because I'm like now thinking of just like mountains of clothes. I just want to see I want to watch it. I want to watch.
I've created a new El Dorado for you guys.
Yeah, right.
Hipsters in LA.
I know. That's. Did you at any point feel as far as like was there one thing that you really felt like that shined in the film, like as far as you that you're really proud of that was maybe really difficult to get across or to happen, or I don't know.
God, it was all difficult.
Really? It's like it's always really hard. It's like I
mean, there were so many really interesting locations, interesting scenes. I'm trying to think of one right now. I mean, I really like the Ropa Usada scene a lot. And
I was gonna say, so you have. I wondered. I had a question and then it like left my brain and I can't remember it now. And I had to do something with the location, but I don't remember.
Think about it. Yeah. But in the meantime, let me ask you this. So I'm just kind of gazing through the credits here, and I noticed that you really, without you, there's a like 50% of the film still needs to be produced here. Like you have a lot of roles here, lots of hats. So I understand you do the cinematography for the film, and you also direct the film.
Mm-hmm.
So how's that at the same time, like, being the director on set and then transitioning to behind the camera and getting the perfect shot while making sure that everyone is still in the zone and doing what you want them to do?
I actually find it very easy. I am a cinematographer by trade and also a director, and they're very, very, tightly knit, these two roles. And I do it all the time on commercials.
Yeah.
And, I feel like when you're operating the camera, especially if you're handheld working with an actor, I feel extremely connected to their performance. You can react to what they're doing, how they're moving, and you're very in tune with what they're saying and the emotions that they're giving. So I actually find all of that very natural. So
you think it's a better way to shoot?
I don't think it's a better way. I think it's easy for me because I have that cinematography skill set.
Okay.
So that's the part that kind of goes on autopilot.
Makes sense.
And then, I can,
for so long.
Yeah, I can concentrate on directing as well. The other thing that helps is that we didn't have a huge production crew.
Yeah.
So as a cinematographer on this, we were working with a really minimalist approach. I just wanted to walk into a room, kind of look at what the light was doing naturally, and then just add one or two lights that we can augment it.
I like that.
Now, if I was running like a bigger production where we had, big cranes and condors and all sorts of moving parts, then I would say that directing and cinematography would probably start to, maybe you would want to get someone else in there.
Yeah.
But on such a small movie, I don't think it was a problem at all. The harder part was being involved as a producer.
Yeah.
That's the harder part because, as a director, you want to kind of, take time with the performances and you want to take time getting the scene. But as a producer, you're looking at your watch saying, we should move on. we should go to shoot this other thing. So it was the producer part of my brain that was actually probably the harder part to deal with.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, it sounds like a back and forth right there. Like, this shot, golden hour.
It's like golden hour. Oh, we got to move on to the next one.
Yeah.
I've been on too many sets where the director would be like, all right, guys. Well, I just want to get like 2 more takes, and the producers in the back like, we don't have time, Derek, and it's just the funniest thing.
So imagine that all just going on in my brain.
I know, right?
All the time.
You talking, David? It's time. It's David, but the shot is now. Oh my goodness!
It's like your cinematographer David's like, producer David's so
Well, my crew would laugh because they kind of knew when I was having these conversations because I would just be very quiet.
Oh, you were just deep in thought.
There was like 3 people in my head just talking back and forth, arguing about what to do next. So
that's like, super funny. Yeah.
It's like, and then your stomach's like, we haven't eaten anything all day, and you're just like, there
you go.
Yeah, that's so cool.
You know what? Food is very important to me.
Really?
I will always, let's break for lunch. Let's do it. Is it not lunch yet?
Yeah. I think that's one of the. I mean, that's really smart because you're not only does your crew get fatigued and hungry, but to take a break of just like a mental break of like, okay, great, we don't have to work for a second.
Any crew working with me does not have to worry about that. We'll always break on time for lunch.
People don't like to miss lunch.
Yeah, that's important.
There's always Crafty, but
it's not the same.
It's not the same.
Crafty's not the same.
It depends on the set, though. It depends on the set.
Not when it's day old tamales down in South Texas.
Did you guys have a strong influence of like Hispanic like foods and stuff in the film? I don't know if like that
like
type of
on screen or
just in general. I guess I'm just curious.
I mean, there's a pretty funny scene. We were editing the movie. And in the background of this one scene, there's like this silver object on the ground. And I was like, what the hell is that? We zoomed in, we enhanced. Have you seen CSI?
Yeah.
We enhanced on it. It was a breakfast taco.
It was
just lying on the ground.
The tin foil for the breakfast taco.
And it was not part of the scene. And it was clearly like one of the crew just left their breakfast taco on the ground.
Oh, no.
And I thought it was hilarious that it made it in the movie.
That's a little Easter egg right there.
Little Easter egg. Look for the breakfast taco.
Yeah. Look for the breakfast taco. That's so funny. I honestly, when you mentioned breakfast tacos, it takes me back to like living in San Antonio because Tex-Mex and
you're from South Texas. You know what I'm talking about.
No, I definitely know what you're talking about. Breakfast tacos are the biggest industry in like anywhere in South Texas. Everybody loves breakfast tacos. Everybody loves tacos in general. Barbacoa. You get like asada. You get pastor. Like you just have so many options, and then you get street tacos too. Like taquiza. I love food. I get going. I had a Philly cheesesteak right before we did this. This doesn't pertain to anything. The best Philly cheesesteak in town is in Koreatown. It's called Booze. Check it out, people.
Oh wow.
They're the people are straight from Philly, and I think for me it's if you grow up in a culture and you're able to replicate that somewhere else, That's key. You know, that's it. That's all you have to do. And you should go franchise and just be the person that goes around teaching people, because,
you know,
that's the key. You know,
franchise. Hey, Chico's Tacos. If you guys have ever been to West Texas, there's a little spot out there. It's called Chico's Tacos. Everyone goes nuts for it. But
in El Paso?
Yeah, in El Paso. That's where I spent a lot of my time.
Oh, nice.
But, yeah.
We've all spent time in. I feel like everybody always spends time in Texas.
Interesting thing about El Paso, and I was talking about the other day, is, you know, people always say, you know, I'm from the border, and they say, oh, you're from El Paso, and I say, no, El Paso is actually closer to Los Angeles than to where I'm from in Texas.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it really is. I mean, they're both about 12 hours from each other.
Yeah, I was going to say,
just getting out of Texas from San Antonio is like freaking 10 hours. It would take us so long.
Yeah. And the crazy part is that it still takes like 12 hours to get out of Texas from point to point, and you can go like 90 miles an hour the whole time. So
yeah, we have some pretty fast speed limits.
Yeah. Well, it's a whole bunch of nothing to get through, you know, especially those parts.
Are you from Texas too?
Well, my dad was in the military, so I lived in Killeen when I was younger, and then we came back and we lived in El Paso when I was older.
Yeah.
So
you've been around.
Oh man, I've been all over the place.
Yeah.
Even down in Juarez, messing around. Should never have gone there, but
nice.
We made it.
Yeah, I know, right? We're here now.
Sorry, Ma.
I wanted to ask as well, during this whole process, as like from start to now to finish and everything, was there any like hobbies that you kind of like outlets aside from this that you kind of had? Just because I know when you're working on a film and you're really heavily involved, it's almost like you do get fatigued and you find yourself really like, oh man, I spent all my time on this, you know? Did you have something that you kind of like, I gotta get away from this for a second?
My outlet for the last few years has been soccer.
Really?
Yeah, I played soccer up until middle school.
Nice. I played in high school as well.
You played in high school?
Yeah, I played in high school.
Yeah, I actually jumped shit. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You were pretty
good.
We
won my freshman year.
What was your position?
I was just a defender. I was just a backer.
Where's your ring at?
No, they gave us medals. So it's in my house in San Antonio. We have a medal.
Wow.
But like I wasn't like very good, but I knew by the end of my 4 years I knew how to play, you know. But that freshman year was really just like, I'm here and I'm kind of like learning about everything. And I think that freshman year I was so scared of things. By the time I got to my senior year, I was tackling people.
Right.
Like I was just ramming them with my body, and it was so much fun. I was having a blast doing it. But yeah, soccer is awesome.
Yeah, soccer.
I love it.
Soccer is life. I mean, I started playing again when I was 27, and just pickup games in Austin. You can go to any park and just find a game.
Yeah,
like every day. It's awesome with just new people.
Yeah,
and they're from all over the world usually.
There was you say that, and I've experienced that in so many different places where it's just like there's a soccer field. And people will just show up in the afternoon.
Right down there in MacArthur Park. MacArthur. No. Lafayette Park.
There's a little game here?
Yeah, there's a whole pitch and full-size goals. And actually, there's always people there playing. A lot of times, there's full 11-on-11, like, jerseys and everything. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, but they do have pickup games, and you can just go and, you know, show everyone up.
I think the best,
I love it.
The best pickup game I've ever had was actually in Italy.
You had a pickup game?
Yeah. Oh, it was like, I remember it vividly because I was a kid. This was when I was like 13, and it was a bunch of kids, and it was just kind of like an outside area, and it was nighttime, and this kid just came out with a soccer ball and was like, are we gonna play? And then everybody was like, I don't know if he sounded that way, but that was just like what I could think of. But and so
is that your Italian accent?
No, my Italiano. No,
let's play some football.
Let's play some football.
All right, nice.
But we like got really into that game, and it was just like a small like basketball court, but it was like for these kids, it was like, it's so much fun, and I was having a blast playing because I didn't know anybody. So when you don't know anybody, it's like you really can just do whatever, and everybody's just kind of like, oh, he's American.
Yeah,
you know. But I think sports in general, I think are really just such a really cool, you know, outlet for so many people growing up. But I'm curious to know who your pick is for the World Cup this year.
You know, I suspect it might be Germany again. They're just so dominant. They're so dominant. Good, and they know how to like kind of take apart any team.
Shouts out to Deutschland.
But I would hope it would be somebody else.
I'm really
France, maybe. Very creative, colorful team.
Maybe I want.
I think Brazil's gonna be back in the mix.
Yeah,
they're always around.
They're always around.
Yeah.
Denmark, maybe. Denmark whooped. They were good. It just honestly, maybe. I was surprised.
But Germany has Mesut Ozil. They have. They still have Goethe. Yeah. Still have Mario Goethe. They're set. They're good. But I mean, who knows? Messi still has to win a cup.
He's never won a World Cup.
He's never won a World Cup. No.
And up until this last one, he had never scored.
Well, he had a chance last time,
and then he messed it up.
He messied it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, over the bar, I'm sure he thinks about it every day.
I often think about that. It's like, do you think like sports athletes, do you think they reflect on like, I could have easily made that?
Dude.
I feel like in those types of sports more than
they never
else.
forget.
You can't.
I think they have a photographic memory of the whole play, even the game leading up to that moment, you know.
Even the guy in the fifth stand chewing his popcorn.
You made eye contact right before you kicked the shot, and he like did something weird. He gave you like the creepy eyes. Right. And you were like, oh, I missed.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, even I play in a park with like 2-foot goals, and I still remember stuff that I missed.
Yeah,
I'm like, God damn it!
And there's moments where you're just like, oh, I thought I was better than that, you know. And it just depends on the shoes and everything.
I think it's just despair in general when you know you should have crushed it and you just epic fail. Like I still remember messing up on this word, messing it up on this word. When in like the 7th grade, I was in a spelling bee, and the word was so simple, and I swear I crushed it, but I missed one word, which one letter. Which it's weird when you're like confident you smashed a word, and then it's like, oh, wait a minute.
That must have been embarrassing.
But I blame it on the fact that I was too tall. The microphone was distracting me.
I'm just envisioning like a young Willie, like, yeah, I got it, and then they're like, sorry, and then you're just like, oh snap, I thought I crushed that.
Sorry again, Mom. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Trauma lasts a lifetime.
Was that the word that you misspelled? Trauma?
No, the word was critic, and I said CRITC, and I didn't say CRITIC.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm like, I don't know. I thought I said the whole word, but they said I didn't, so I don't know. I blame it on the microphone.
I'm blaming you, Brian Speller. It's like you were the moderator and you messed up. I couldn't hear what you said, so I'm just gonna assume you said it wrong.
Yeah.
His hearing aid went out for that one.
I know, right?
For that 1 second.
It had a short in it.
I remember doing the spelling bee when I think I did the spelling bee once, and that was in like 6th grade as a joke. Like it was just like, and I don't mean as a joke in the sense of like, oh, I thought it was funny to be on the spelling bee. Yeah. But I was just kind of like, this is not particularly
like, I'm
something.
I'm a poor speller. I barely speak English.
Exactly. I was just like, if I succeed in this, great. If I don't, it's a hit or miss with me. I'm not like trying to
win. You're good now.
Yeah, I'm good now. Yeah. At this point, I think with the language, the thing about learning, like for me, it was when I came to the United States, my mom wanted to put me in bilingual classes so that I could continue to learn both languages. And honestly, it helped me so much because now I can jump from English to Spanish in the snap of a finger, and I'm fluid with both, you know? And I think more people should have bilingual programs in their schools. I don't know why they don't.
Was that process similar for you, or did you grow up always knowing both languages?
Well, this is actually interesting. Yeah. So my father's first language was Spanish because his parents were from Mexico.
Yeah.
Right.
And then he kind of learned English in school. But he grew up in the 50s and 60s in Texas.
Yeah.
And it was actually a little racist back then.
Yeah. Towards
the
South?
Yeah.
You don't say.
Down in South Texas. It was a little racist to Mexicans. Yeah. And they actually didn't like it if you spoke Spanish or had a really heavy accent.
Wow.
And my dad, he kind of always talked about how, he worked really hard to try to get rid of his accent.
Yeah.
Because he went to the military and, just tried to just sound as white as he could so that people wouldn't give him so much shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so when I was born, he decided not to teach me Spanish.
Really?
So I didn't grow up with that at all.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't learn Spanish until college, and I took like 4 semesters.
Yeah.
And I probably have the grammatical abilities of a 7-year-old in Spanish. But I know enough to be able to get by and understand most of what's being said.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe 70%, 50%.
I mean,
like that.
Yeah, that's
70%.
That's
70%.
passing.
Yeah. It depends. It depends.
Yeah, C's get degrees. That's what they say, right?
That's what George W. Bush said, right? C's get degrees.
C's get degrees.
You were the president. And like, all right.
But yeah, I think one of my goals, since my last name is Garcia, I want to go and learn Spanish once and for all.
Yeah.
I
want to go down to Mexico.
Just be immersed.
That's really smart.
Yeah.
That's really smart. That both of you guys hit on it at the same time, which is cool. Being immersed is key. If you go somewhere and you immerse yourself with that culture, I guarantee you'll walk away knowing the language more than just sitting on your computer saying, I'm going to go and try to learn Spanish on Rosetta Stone. Rosetta Stone is all right, but
people keep telling me to use that stuff, but you know what? It helps me learn how to like read it and write it, which I kind of already know. I can like much easier, it's much easier to read a newspaper than to hear somebody talk to me in Spanish. So I need to go have the conversations. Yeah,
the conversations, and they'll take it places where you don't even know, and they might say words that you might not quite understand. And it's always people don't like to ask, like, oh, what does that mean? Because they don't want to seem like incompetent, but do it. Ask people.
Not me. ¿Cómo se dice?
Yeah.
¿Qué significa eso? No entiendo. It's like, what? But I'm curious to know. You said, your dad was Mexican. Your mom was she American?
She's American. She's white.
Yeah.
There's no real. I think her grandparents were from like Scotland and France and Ireland and all sorts of white countries. So
interesting. Do you
not really?
Yeah. I mean, it
makes sense.
Exactly.
When you say that, I think we all collectively know what you mean.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Do you find yourself like that your parents were always like very supportive of what you were doing? I know it's very hard for an artist. Like I've personally been through the journey where my parents supported me, and then they weren't sure, and then now that I'm being successful, they're like, oh, okay, never mind, you got it. And it's like they almost have to see you do it, because it's like a creative field, or movie business in general is very like risky, and I don't know what kind of experience you had, but
my parents have always been really supportive of me. And they were worried in high school when I told them that I wanted to make movies, because personally they didn't know that was even a job, or that was even possible for anyone to do, and they didn't know how to do it. But they did support me going to film school at the University of Texas, and
nice.
They were always like, when is he gonna maybe take an engineering class or business class or something, and they were always encouraging me to do that, and I was like, no, I'm just gonna stick with film, with movies. And then eventually, I started to make a living doing this stuff, and so they were like, oh, we see. We get it.
It's like, you can't succeed in this.
But my younger brother was a lot easier for them, because he went into aerospace engineering, and he actually now works at forgive me, but I'm not sure if it's Lockheed Martin or Boeing. It's one of those. And like, so he was always like the star of the family, right? Like they could tell their friends, our son is an aerospace engineer, and people knew what that was. Whereas I don't think my parents know what I do.
Well, now so my parents really, like, when I talk to them, it's funny because I'll explain things to them, and explaining someone how Hollywood and the movie business works is almost like teaching someone a second language. I'll talk to my parents about being a casting director sometimes, and to them it's like that goes over my head, because I don't see that every day. So it's almost like I don't know what you're saying. Like my mom will Luigi, no entiendo lo que estás diciendo, and I'm just like, all right, mom. All right, I can either explain it to you in Spanish, or we can just forget I ever brought it up. It's just like
I'm a dentist.
It's like I work at NASA sometimes. Just don't worry about it. But
that's why I tell my parents I operate the camera. I hold the camera, and they get that. But cool. I do a lot of other things, but.
Were they able to go to the screening in Dallas?
They came.
That's so awesome.
it was great to give them that experience. And it's like, hey guys, thanks for putting up with me for all these decades.
Yeah.
Finally, we can watch a movie.
Yeah.
So I actually lived at my parents' house while we were making the movie.
Oh, wow.
I called them up and I was like, hey guys, I want to make a movie down there. Could I sleep in my old bedroom?
Yeah, it's a big ask for. They're like, you were supposed to leave by this point. It's coming back.
Yeah, well, it was like 10 years, over 10 years after I had left.
Interesting.
Oh,
So
wow.
we had not lived together in a long time. And
Was it weird getting back into like the flow? Yeah.
kind of like we were like, roommates again.
roommates with your parents. It's
And I
like,
could tell they-
yo, you guys getting the milk or am I getting the milk? How does this work? Who pays for what? It's like,
And I could tell there were a couple of times where they wanted to ground me, but they didn't have the power.
You're like, I'm an adult now. It's
Yeah.
Like, how
I'm
does
just gonna
that
go.
feel?
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like my parents are the same way now, and I was like, you guys don't pay for my bills out here. You guys, I'm out here trying to find work and creating stuff.
Yeah.
It's like I'm making my own decisions at this point.
Yeah.
But then my mom would be like, you can do your own laundry.
Yeah, see, that's the trade-off right there. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
all right.
I've always I
Can't be cush like back in high school.
I know.
just
Good times.
Those were the
sliding
days.
through.
Good times, man.
Could ask for food and it would randomly
There it
appear.
is.
Oh
Yeah.
wow, I was just hungry. Now it's like, hey, you guys want to make me something? It's like, make it yourself. It's like, it's like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
I'm going to McDonald's.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just gonna go get some. Did you?
Oh, if you threaten to go get bad like fast food, sometimes they'll make you
Really?
a dinner.
Oh yeah.
That's a
So
trick.
when they know, it's like, that's just greasy.
Yeah.
My mom
Yeah.
loves to say that word. She's like,
Finesse.
that's greasy, and she's like, don't eat it. It's greasy, and I'm like, everything's greasy. It's like, what do you want me to do? It's like, everything's bad for you. There's like broccoli, and that's it. That's the only thing you can eat that's good for you. No, I'm just kidding. But
At McDonald's?
no, just in life, I guess. At McDonald's, broccoli. Ugh. Any fast food restaurant that serves salads, never get a salad at a fast food restaurant. Never.
Right.
Like it's not a good.
Well, it's an
not a good
oxymoron,
scenario.
first of all.
Exactly. It's just you're
on.
going there for the burgers,
I shouldn't have said McDonald's though. It's in Texas. It's Whataburger.
Whataburger. That's what. That was the thing.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. And then you said McDonald's, but I love Whataburger.
Bring the A1 burger back.
Oh, the
Please.
A1 sauce is so freaking good.
With the grilled onions.
grilled
Oh
onions.
my god.
Oh yeah.
So good.
I
So good.
like the double meat on Texas toast with cheese.
Mm.
That's my the only reason I love Whataburger is because they do Texas toast, and I love Texas toast. And I think that combination between that cheese and meat, sometimes bacon, sometimes chicken tenders. That's just Texas for you. But it's just
they do it
I
so
love
well.
and people love to say In-N-Out is better, but I personally, being from Texas and living there for so long, it's different styles of burgers for
I like
sure.
those skinny fries, man. And
The fries.
they have really good fries at Whataburger.
so good,
Everything about them
man.
is just key.
Yeah.
It's like,
So good.
yes.
Some people complain that there's too much mustard
Oh no,
because they
No,
really
no, no.
layer the mustard on, but you could just be like, I don't want mustard.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's not really a complaint, guys.
Whoever told you that, it's like you literally can ask for no mustard.
Yeah.
I don't understand why you're not
Yeah.
doing that. That's funny. That's really
Too
funny.
much mustard.
I know. I'm thinking of the thought process that person was having. It's just like biting into a mustard-filled burger, saying, "Man, I wish this had less mustard." It's like, these are things you can ask for. Like, these are not things that are hard to do.
Oh man.
He's like, you're not asking for a chicken sandwich. You're just asking for no mustard.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
But shout out to Whataburger.
Shout out
Very
to Whataburger.
delicious.
Yeah, so sponsored
Sponsor us
by
all.
Whataburger.
Sponsored by Whataburger.
Please send us gift cards.
Yes.
I would love that. I honestly would just love to eat a burger. After I think I've been in I haven't gone to Texas since December, but every time I go, I make it a point to like at least eat Whataburger.
Oh man,
twice.
I haven't had Whataburger in like 5 years.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
That's too long.
I know, man. I need some burgers. Sorry.
I went. Have you ever eaten at the Habit?
No, I haven't.
Oh my gosh, they do. I think it's. I just had it yesterday. It's called the Santa Barbara Burger.
Oh, it's
the,
really
the,
good.
The double char on
I had
sourdough.
it in Santa Barbara.
Really?
Yeah, and it was super good.
They do the avocado.
Very juicy.
And it's very like they smash the avocado to where it's like it's fresh, but it's like very layered on top perfectly to where you take a bite and you're just getting the flavor, and it's. I think chefs that if you truly are like passionate about it, you can do so much, and you can touch on a palette of flavors that can just will explode the taste buds. I love food.
we love food.
I know. I really got on the train of like, I'm starting to get hungry.
Mean, you started it. You said you love food. We all love food.
We all love food. You're right. Do you find like? Do you think you cook? Do you like to cook intricate foods?
Actually no. I'm really not a cook.
Interesting.
Yeah. I appreciate other people's cooking. I always think it tastes better when someone else makes it.
Me too.
That's my favorite seasoning.
Yeah.
Someone else making
it.
as long as you and free as well sometimes.
And free.
If it's
free is one of the best seasonings.
Free is one of the best seasonings. It's like, oh, what's that season with? Well, it's free, so it doesn't matter. It's food. It's really cool. Well,
I need to start learning to cook.
I've thought about that myself. Like I want to explore that. Not now because I feel like I got a lot on my plate, but I feel like that's one of those things.
A lot on your plate.
I know. As soon as I said it, I was like, But
sponsorship opportunity. I've been trying HelloFresh recently, it's been very well. They give you everything you need,
and then you cook it.
Yeah, you cook it, so it's fresh and it's it's all. They have all the seasonings and things. Some things they don't provide, but it's like salt, pepper, things that people already have typically anyways. But as far as like anything else that involves cooking, that meal which you get to pick which meal you want them to send you, and then they send you all the stuff and then you prepare it, and it usually takes like 25-30 minutes. But it's pretty cool, but it's super good. It tastes like a chef made it, but you made it yourself.
Check it out. The few times they've had it, they've let me like get a nibble of it, and it's an explosion of flavor.
Yeah,
like that is a good company based on just making you try new things.
Yeah,
and it's cool for people like myself who I'm not a cook at all, and I don't really like to cook because I think it takes too long. I'm hungry now, so
I want my food and I want it now.
That's the problem with me is hanger.
Yeah,
because as soon as I get hangry, that's when I know I want to eat. But I'm not going to cook now.
No,
I got to eat.
I gotta eat. That was a perfect slogan for like it's like I don't want to cook now. I gotta eat.
So I need some kind of alarm that alerts me 30 minutes before.
Yeah.
So I can start cooking then.
You can start cooking then. It's like, yeah, because when you feel that like gut wrench of like, like, oh snap, this needs something. That's the moment where you're like, fast food is just so quick. I don't have time.
Yeah, you switch right into lizard brain and you just start like kind of sniffing around for whatever.
Brain.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
All reasons out the window at that point.
I know that, and I think that's one of the reasons why so many people suffer with like obesity and stuff, because you do get lizard brain and you're just like, I want something fast, and you end up doing that all the time. And I think that's like, you have to have control over that, which is like anything else. But I feel like so many people give up the control of their own life. They're like, oh, I just don't know why I do it. It's like, why you eat that double cheeseburger, Becky. You're aware of it. You bought it.
Why has it got to be Becky though?
Okay, Jack. It doesn't matter. It's a hypothetical. It's just like, this is the obese person in this scenario.
There's someone named Becky listening and you really hurt her.
I know she's gonna be like writing in, well, you guys said something about someone named Becky, and I don't like that. It's like
6 months later, she writes us again. Thank you for offending me that episode. I lost 50 pounds.
I know, right? It motivated me to lose weight. It's like, well, Becky, that was the whole point.
We were thinking about you, Becky.
we were just looking out for you, Becky. But yeah,
and
that's
Jack.
Really cool. And Jack. But we're really glad that you were able to just come out and
yeah, man, this has been really fun.
This is great, man. I love chatting with you guys.
Yeah, you're really cool, and you seem like you're on the cusp of greatness right here. I feel like you're already entering that just by the way you describe the film, and it sounds very interesting, and it sounds like you were very passionate and devoted to making sure it came out, in the vision that younger self saw, and I'm excited to see it.
Even though those are intangible qualities in a person, they are things that you can tangibly notice in a film just by how it made you feel once you're done watching it. If you can tell a movie is made with the wrong intention and a half-assed attitude when you watch it, and the same thing applies for something that was made with love and care and attention. So we over here at Clear the Haze wish you all the luck in your future endeavors, man, because the vibe that you gave us today, if you put that same vibe into your work, everything that you do is going to be a smash. So
yeah,
we're rooting for you, man.
Yeah, we're rooting for you, David. We think you're doing some great stuff, man. Where do you have like social media that you think that people will be able to find you at, or how can people reach you if they
I think if people are interested in maybe just following the progress of the film, just go to the Facebook page, which is Tejano the movie.
Facebook.com/Tejano the movie. That's TEJANO the movie.
And Tejano, if you don't know, is Spanish for Texan.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Texan. Tejano.
Whoa. And I mean, the movie is it's really close to my heart. I mean, we made it in South Texas. It shows South Texas for what it is in a lot of ways. And, you know, a lot of people have this like vision of what Texas is. They think cowboys and cactus and desert, but that's not really all of Texas, you know. And
Texas is big.
It's big, and there's so many.
Big.
There's, you know, forests and lakes and mountains and hills and all sorts of stuff. And South Texas is its own place.
Yeah,
and I think we captured it.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool to hear that you feel like you captured it well, and based on what the audience reacted and how they, you know, liked what was on screen, it must show, you know, because in Dallas, at Dallas Film Festival, you're getting a lot of people who are involved with film and are like, oh wow, this is, you know, Dallas got a good vibe too. I love Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas is chill.
Yeah, Dallas is chill. But that's so awesome that you're in the process. Are you trying to get involved in other film festivals, or are you wanting to go into distribution?
Oh no, we have a couple of applications out to other festivals, and we're just waiting to hear back. So.
Yeah, have you heard of New Filmmakers LA?
I haven't.
We had them on the podcast, Larry and Susie, but they do like a monthly film festival, but they do like a spotlight on a feature. I want to say it's like they do one feature everything, but we have their information. We'll talk about it afterwards, but they would be good people to talk to.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And they also set up like different investment opportunities and distribution opportunities and things of that nature too. So
we say all this because we want you to. I think the project is really cool, and if there's anything we can do to help, by all means. Like if this thing, you know, gets in theaters and then gets streaming, and you want to come back and talk about the after, like since this point on, you're always more than welcome.
And that applies beyond just David, but to everyone listening as well. If you think you have an awesome idea and you think that we can help you guys get it out there, please, by all means, write into us. That's show@letsclearthehaze.com, and we'll get you on. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, and make sure to follow David and his story and the movie.
And that's David Blue Garcia.
Yeah, look out for him.
He's going
to be huge. Ow! Huge. Gigantic.
We're here.
Yeah, well, we really appreciate you coming along. We appreciate everybody listening. This has been
thank you.
Clear the Haze. Before we actually let you go, it popped into my head. We didn't ask, but what kind of advice would you give to the young kid that was in your shoes now, that is in your shoes now, that is thinking, man, can I do this? You know, what would you say to him?
If you're trying to make a movie, don't be impatient, because it takes a lot longer than you think. And sometimes I think it pays to prepare. It pays to train yourself in all of the different areas of production. Try out everything.
Yeah.
Learn how to do everything. Maybe don't become an expert in everything, because that'll take too long, but learn how to do everything. That gives you better perspective. But then again, on the other hand, don't procrastinate. Don't take too long. Sometimes you just need to set a date and make your movie.
Wise
there
words.
It is.
Wise words from a wise man. Listen to what David is saying. That was good, man. That was I was like hardcore eye contact, and I was like, this man is focused and this man knows what he wants. I really appreciate that, David. We appreciate you coming on Clear the Haze.
We respect it.
And that's the end of our show. That's the end of this episode. We really appreciate you guys listening. We're now on iTunes, we're on Stitcher, we're on Google Play Music, we're on TuneIn. We're getting on more platforms and basically trying to be anywhere you listen to podcasts. We're gonna be there. Look out for it, and thank you guys so much for listening. Subscribe, leave us a rate, and we'll see you guys next time.
We out.